Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm here to help you build your best life. Today, I want to do that by talking to you about some things that you might not know about dog training. I've been a dog trainer for over 15 years. I've worked with all varieties of animals. I've been a manager at a sanctuary for over 3 years now. Oh, and I know dogs. I know a lot of other animals too, but I'm specifically focusing on dogs today. That being said, some of the stuff I'm going to talk about can definitely apply to whatever kind of pet you have. And the first one might be the most important one. Uh, well, maybe not the most important, but it's pretty high up there. And that is, don't use your dog's name as a punishment when your dog kicks a vase off the table, when they're barking too loud, when they're running around and you don't want them to. Whatever it is that your dog's doing that you don't like, don't be like, Jackson, and or Tina or whatever. There, that dog then associates their name with the punishment, and you wonder why they don't come to you when you say, "Come here, Tina, come cuddle with mommy." Hey, like, of course not. They think, "Oh my gosh, you said Tina, I did something bad." They don't know what they did bad. The dog gets confused. That creates anxiety, and it's just not a pleasant experience. Excuse me. Also, not a pleasant experience if you eat way too much salt. Oh, excuse me for a second. Anyway, a name should be a joyous thing. Like, so when you correct someone, and it's a lot easier and more effective and less harmful to just be like, you're gonna sound like you have a stutter or maybe like Tourette's or something like that. It doesn't sound like how you think you would naturally sound, maybe, but it very much helps. It's loud, it's firm, but it's not directed towards something the dog is supposed to feel like safe with, which is their own name. So if a dog's doing something you don't like, just like, uh uh, uh gotta be loud, you gotta be firm with it, you gotta be firm with dogs. You don't have to be mean with dogs, you don't have to be strict or dominant, but just don't use their name when it comes to punishment, and just interrupt the behavior with loud noise and then focus on rewarding them when they do a good behavior. Or when they stop barking, for instance. Good job, Jackson. And that's a good boy. Good job, Jackson. Like, bring their name back into positivity. It helps a lot more. And speaking of that, uh, you want to focus on uh, positive interactions, reward, not punishment. Yes, you need to correct your dog's behavior. Yes, there are times when you need to communicate with your dog about the things that they're doing that are not helpful, that are dangerous, that are rude, whatever. But you need to focus on the rewards more than that. The dog needs to see working on the things that are inhibiting a good relationship with you as a stepping stone to getting to that good relationship, not as something that is keeping them from that good relationship. Dogs are like children. They're going to be a lot more motivated to do something if they see it as leading to a reward than avoiding punishment. And I don't know about you, but whether I am parenting a dog child or a human child, I want that to come from a place of love and like joy and focus on the rewards rather than being something for my child to fear. Uh, and you wonder why your dog comes to your neighbor or whoever more than you. It's because you are the source of punishment. Now, there's sometimes you can't avoid that. Like sometimes you gotta groom your dog's nails, you gotta clip them, whatever you do. Don't do that if you don't know how to do it. But like sometimes you gotta do stuff that your dog's not gonna like. I had to clean my dog's ears out the other day. She was very unhappy about that. Uh, and I had to hold her. She's a little Yorkie, and she could squirm, so I had to really hold her and get that, and it was an uncomfortable experience with her before. But as soon as I'm done, it's right back to belly rubs and playing. I gave her a treat, and she understands that. And like the next day, I come back to give her a walk, and she's very comfortable with that. And she's super excited to see me because I focus on that positivity and I make it a point to not use her name when I'm correcting her, building on my last point. I really communicate with her as much as absolutely possible from the point of positivity, from the good interactions. That's when I verbalize to her, I'm talking to her, and I interact with her as much as absolutely possible. That is the only time I interact with her, and where she can really understand that I'm talking to her because I use her name. Otherwise, it's just like, no. And so build on that. Focus on those reward points, and that will also aid in building that stronger bond with your dog, building that feeling of safety and joy that they are going to have when they interact with you, when they're in your presence. And it's just going to make for more fun because you're also just feeling like, okay, when I'm connecting with my dog, it's about something positive, and you're building on that. And that makes it more fun for you, which makes you more willing to take care of your dog, to do all of the things that a dog actually needs, to have a full and complete and happy life. And building that positive space in your head makes you more motivated, and it builds on itself. It's a snowball of positivity instead of a snowball of negativity. And that just makes it so much more enjoyable to be responsible for a dog. And speaking of that, the easiest way to start doing that is to take a moment with yourself, not even with your dog right away, but just think about the times you corrected your dog, and think about it how you are, instead of you're judging your dog, you think your dog's a bad dog, you don't train them to be a better dog. You train them to do the behaviors to show what a good dog they are. Focus on you judging their actions or behavior, not judging them as like a person, an animal person, and like a dog. You're not judging whether they're a good or bad dog. You're judging, is that behavior conducive to a healthy environment where we currently are? And it's a yes or no. It's quite simple. If it's helpful, well, great. If it's not, okay, we work on it. But you are not judging your dog. It's another reason not to use their names as punishment. So you start to recognize that in your head and stop associating Jackson or Tina with good or bad, associating kicking the vase off the table, barking too loud, or barking at night, or running all around the house and just being a trip hazard, as being bad, not as Tina being bad, Tina being in the what, something simple like that. That mental shift is another thing that really affects how you view interacting with a dog, and whether you view it from a place of love and joy and all the fun things that it can and should be. That is really such a key difference. And most of what I'm talking about is just that mental shift. So you start loving interacting with your dog like everything you expected before you actually got a dog, and appreciated the full weight of the responsibility, that you have chosen to have, and that is a wonderful thing to have. All right. And so that leads me to my next point, and that is controlling your emotions. This is where I'm going to talk more about you than I am about your dog, and let you know that everything you're feeling, your dog sees and most likely mirrors. If you are anxious, your dog is going to be more anxious 9 times out of 10, unless they are an extremely even tempered dog, which they are the rarity. Naturally, completely even tempered dogs are a rarity. They do happen, but it's an unrealistic expectation. So that's a bonus thing that I'm going to debunk for you. It's all a product of training, just like human happiness. Dog happiness and dog contentedness and dog temperament is a product of training and learning and time, just like human. But you need to work on your own emotional stuff. So you need to really take time, and there's nothing wrong with like seeking help for that if you need help. But you need to take time on your own to work on whatever is affecting you, and is a challenge to you to being at an even keel and being the calm that you need to be to parent your dog effectively. And that happens, but like, easiest way to put it, and as someone I follow on YouTube and someone I know who says it, everything that you're feeling in here goes straight down the leash. Uh, like, they will feel it, and I've watched it happen. And being able to not shut down your emotions, not run away from your emotions, but being able to manage your emotions, to heal them, to process them, to feel them, and so that you can move past them and not let them dictate how you react to your dog, but rather use them as data points so that you can discern and act appropriately to be the best guide for your dog that you can possibly be. And this is important because the next key is you are their access point. Like, you who are the person that allows them to go outside, to walk, to socialize with other dogs, to socialize with humans, to see the world. Like, there was a meme a long time ago, a dog may be just part of your life, but you're their whole life. And that is so true. It really is on you to give your dog a complete life. You chose this responsibility. Like, a lot of people think they can just discard that. You can't. Uh, this is on you to give that dog the best life you can possibly give, and that looks different. And that doesn't mean you have to have a massive house and a yard to have a dog. There are ways to socialize them. There are so many different options, and so many different ways to have a dog in an apartment and still give them a complete life. It just takes putting the right amount of effort in the way that is most effective for the dog and your environment to connect and work. And it takes time, but it's completely possible. It's absolutely necessary and achievable. And it helps because, again, you are their role model. I know it feels like I've already harped on this with the last two keys, and I have, but to just really narrow that down, you have this extraordinary power to tell your dog about the situation you're in, to change their entire perspective. Uh, I learned a study recently about human children is whether or not a child freaks out when they get injured, and the reason that they sometimes pause before they start screaming and crying after they fall is the way the parents react. If you're just like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And you start freaking out, then the child starts to learn that, okay, this is bad, that this like failure, this problem, this injury, this pain is terrifying, and then they start freaking out. I don't know all the resources about that, but I know that it's very similar to what occurs in dogs. I've worked with a lot of nervous dogs, a lot of fear aggressive dogs, and I've seen big improvement in just minutes. Even dogs, like, not even just like fear reaction, of just like hyperactivity. Like, I've learned for myself for many years and like almost 2 decades of dog training. Uh, just my reaction changes how the dog acts. Even if a dog is super hyperactive, if I want to be calm, if I just maintain that calm, regardless of what the dog is doing, the dog starts to match my behavior. That's why dogs make such great emotional support animals. They mirror what you're feeling so that you can see it and work through it, but also just so you have someone to relate to connect to, and just it creates a sense of calm, a sense of not feeling alone. And it's beautiful. Dogs are such beautiful creatures, and they can provide so many opportunities for healing and love and joy. But you got to give them that chance, and it starts with you putting your best foot forward and showing where you want to get to sometimes, even if it's not quite where you're at. Like, sometimes you just gotta put your, uh, put your emotions in order. Like maybe just I call it like just like I'm just gently closing the door on my emotions for a second so that I can be the most effective parent. Sometimes you gotta wait until you can talk to your therapist or whoever is your outlet person and to check on your emotions, or just wait so you can write it in your journal, whatever you do. And I hope you do something, because sometimes you just need to handle your situation, you need to survive, you need to get through, and it does get better. But you are that person for your dog. Like, it's not the same as raising a human child, but you are a parent for that dog. You are their role model, their guiding force, and how you react to a situation plays a lot into how they react to a situation. Like, people who avoid other people, like socializing with their dog, and eventually the dog starts to understand, it's like, okay, people are bad, so they start barking at people who try to come up to them and play with them, or other dogs, and they start learning it, and then it just feeds on yourself, because then you're thinking, oh, my dog actually doesn't like it, which is not necessarily true. It's not necessarily it's untrue. It depends on the dog, but it's exacerbated by your reactions, because they're listening to you. They're trying to please you and like work with the environment that they're given, which is your home that you share. And so that is really important to understand, that what you do carries down to the dog, and what they do relates to how you do things in an environment that you're in. And that is like, it's a responsibility, yes, but it is also your power, because if you're calm, if you're embracing life as is and just finding your own way to move forward, you're giving your dog permission to do the same, and you're making it easier because they have someone to look up to, some someone to be their rock and guiding force. And it goes back and forth whether they do that for you or you do that for them, but you can definitely help them a lot, and that is a key to dog training and building the best life possible with your dog. And so I've talked a lot about six other points, and I'm going to briefly run through and summarize them before I get to my last point, because it's tied into all of them. So the first one being, use names as a reward, not a punishment. And a dog should only hear their name if it's something positive. If you need to correct something negative, if simple like little claps, something to interrupt that fixation or whatever they're doing that is not conducive to your environment. Two, reward more than correct. You can look up error-free learning. There's a lot of good channels. I like Stony Dennis's method. He's a YouTuber, has a lot of dog training experience, but there's a lot of options where you can focus less on needing to correct and more on just rewarding the behavior that you like, and having the dog understand that and start to naturally build themselves into someone who gets more rewards than they do corrections. Um, and then the third key point is, you're judging actions, not the person, or if you don't see dogs as people, which they are, but it's not human people anyway. But you're judging actions. You're not judging your dog. Like, their behavior might suck. That doesn't mean they suck. They're a dog. They're not good or bad. They're just a dog. So focus on your judging behaviors, not actions. And then four, or control your emotions. Work on yourself so that you know that whatever's going on internally is not affecting how you are with training your dog, is not inhibiting your ability to train and be the most effective parent for your dog. And then five, you are their access point. You have chosen to have a dog, which is a wonderful thing. It is your responsibility to give them the best life that they can possibly have, the best life that you can offer them. And that looks different for everybody, and that's okay. But it's on you to give them socialization and to give them the ability to have access to all of their needs, to have enrichment, to have fun, and have the work put in and so that they can be welcome in as many environments as a dog can possibly be welcome in. And that is your responsibility as a dog parent. And then 6, you are their role model. Like you are the guiding force for them. You are their main person, and you are a person in their life. Even what you do, how you react to a situation, the dog is going to model that, and it's going to start to anticipate that and build off of how you react to a situation. So it's important to make sure that you're presenting the best ideal of how to engage in whatever situation you're involved in, so that the dog has the best opportunity and the best like inspiration to handle that situation. And then now finally, the last key: progress, not perfection. End end sessions on a positive note. Have them small enough for the dog's attention span, which you'll know pretty well. And every day, push it just a little bit. Like, yes, give them a little bit of push, not so much that they get overwhelmed, but just start with, I don't know, 10 minutes. You don't need more than 10 minutes to really start a routine. And there's a bunch of different things I will talk about in other videos. Hopefully, I'll have a dog with me. I don't have a dog currently, I have dog clients. Excuse me, my screen went black. I didn't know I could do that while I was recording. But anyway, like I my last dog passed. I still haven't gotten another one. I am in obviously the stages of moving to a new apartment. Um, but anyway, they focus on progress, not perfection. The dog needs to understand that like you don't have to get everything right away. Also, you need to understand that you who just have to enjoy the steps toward the goal. They will get there eventually, and it will greatly help if you make sure that you don't leave sessions of training frustrated. You don't like push yourself too hard. Like, think about it like going to the gym after a year of not lifting. You're not going to immediately try your PR or personal record. Or you're going to start like maybe like 20 pounds lighter than you remember doing, or 10 pounds, depending on how high you started. And you're just going to slowly get back into it. You're going to like ease yourself back into that kind of muscle strain, that kind of activity. The same thing with dogs. Like, if they make any sort of positive progress, celebrate that, because the dog will be more likely to try to do that again. They'll be more motivated. It helps. And the little steps are how you get to the big ones. And treating the steps like goals makes it a lot easier to get to the next goal. Oh, so those are my 7 keys of how to build a better system and a better relationship between you and your dog, and training them so that we can build the best life possible for both you and the dog together. I wish you all luck, and I hope you have a great day.